You didn't find this video by accident. Something inside you paused for a moment. A quiet inner signal that said, "Watch this." And that moment might feel small, but in the language of the universe, small moments often carry the biggest shifts. Because right now, something unusual is happening on Earth. Not something you can easily measure with instruments, not something the news will announce, but something that is being felt deeply by certain people across the world. Dear Chosen One, comment 1111 to signal you're aligned with this frequency. May God bless you. Amen. For a long time, humanity believed reality was fixed, solid, predictable, the same for everyone. But the deeper we explore consciousness, the more we realize that reality behaves more like a living field than a rigid structure. Quantum physics hints at this idea in subtle ways, that observation affects outcomes, that energy and awareness are intertwined, and that the universe may respond to consciousness in ways we are only beginning to understand. And because of this, some researchers and spiritual thinkers have started describing a possibility that humanity is not just evolving physically or technologically, but perceptually, that our awareness itself is shifting, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. This is what many people call the beginning of Quantum Earth. Quantum Earth is not another planet. It is not a science fiction escape from the current world. Instead, it represents a new level of perception that exists within the same physical Earth we already inhabit. Think of it like two radio stations broadcasting in the same space. Both signals exist simultaneously, but you only hear the one your radio is tuned to. For centuries, human consciousness has been tuned mostly to survival, competition, fear, and external validation. Those frequencies shape the societies, systems, and realities we built. But something is changing now. More and more people are beginning to sense a different signal. You may have noticed it in your own life. Maybe you started feeling disconnected from things that once felt normal. Conversations that revolve around negativity suddenly feel draining. Social expectations that once seemed important now feel strangely empty. The rush to compete, impress, or constantly prove yourself begins to lose its grip. At first, this can be confusing. You might even wonder if something is wrong with you. But what if nothing is wrong? What if this is simply the moment your awareness begins to tune to a different frequency of reality? Because the shift toward Quantum Earth doesn't happen outside of you. It happens within perception itself. When your consciousness begins aligning with this emerging frequency, subtle things start to change. Your intuition becomes sharper. You start sensing people's energy more clearly. Certain opportunities appear almost at the exact moment you need them. And strangely, situations that no longer match your inner state begin to fall away on their own. From the outside, it might look like coincidence. But from the inside, it feels more like synchronization. The reason only a small percentage of people seem to experience this shift right now is not because they are better or special. It's because perception evolves in waves. Throughout history, major transformations often begin with a small number of individuals who sense change before the majority does. Think about the early scientists who first suggested that the Earth moves around the sun. At the time, almost everyone believed the opposite. Yet slowly, awareness expanded, and what once seemed radical eventually became obvious. Consciousness evolves the same way. Right now, the world appears chaotic on the surface. Systems are changing, social patterns are shifting, and many people feel a strange mixture of uncertainty and awakening at the same time. But beneath this turbulence, something quieter is unfolding, a subtle separation between two ways of experiencing reality. One path continues operating within fear, control, and constant conflict. The other path begins moving toward awareness, intuition, cooperation, and deeper understanding. Both worlds will still exist on the same planet, but the experience of them will feel completely different depending on where your perception is tuned. This is the essence of Quantum Earth. It is not about escaping the current world. It is about perceiving a deeper layer of it that was always there but rarely accessed. And the key that opens this perception is consciousness itself. When you slow down your mind, when you become more aware of your thoughts, when you begin questioning automatic reactions and old emotional patterns, something powerful happens. You step out of the unconscious programming that shaped most of human history. Instead of reacting to reality, you begin interacting with it. Instead of being controlled by external narratives, you begin sensing your own inner guidance. And this is where the experience becomes almost magical. Because when awareness deepens, life starts responding differently. You might notice that when you follow your intuition, events seem to align effortlessly. Conversations appear exactly when you need them. Ideas come at the perfect moment. Solutions emerge without forcing them. It can feel as if reality itself is collaborating with you. From a quantum perspective, this might make more sense than we think. Some interpretations of quantum theory suggest that observation and attention influence how possibilities collapse into actual events. While science is still exploring these ideas, many people experiencing deep inner awareness report something similar. That focused consciousness appears to shape outcomes in subtle ways. This doesn't mean we suddenly gain supernatural powers. It means we begin interacting with reality more consciously. The difference is subtle but profound. Instead of living like a passenger inside a predetermined system, you begin feeling like a participant inside a responsive universe, and this is where the idea of the 1% becomes symbolic rather than literal. It doesn't mean exactly 1% of humanity will enter this awareness. It means that at first, only a small number of people recognize the shift while it's happening. These individuals often feel out of place in the old systems because their perception no longer fully resonates with them. But over time, awareness spreads. Just like every major transformation in human history, what begins as a quiet minority eventually becomes a collective awakening. The people sensing quantum Earth today are not leaving the world behind. They are helping build a new way of experiencing it. And the most fascinating part is that this shift rarely begins with dramatic external events. It begins with very simple inner moments. Moments when you pause and observe your thoughts instead of believing them automatically. Moments when you choose understanding instead of reacting with anger. Moments when you trust your intuition even when logic alone cannot explain it. Each of these moments slightly adjusts the frequency of your perception. And gradually, reality begins reflecting that change back to you. This is why some people describe awakening not as a single event, but as a series of subtle realizations that accumulate over time. At first you notice small patterns, then you notice deeper connections. Eventually you begin sensing that consciousness itself might be far more powerful and interconnected than we were taught. And that realization changes everything. Because when you understand that perception shapes reality, you no longer feel completely trapped inside the systems around you. You begin realizing that the most important shift is happening inside awareness itself. Quantum Earth is simply the name some people give to that emerging awareness. A way of seeing reality where intuition, consciousness, and interconnectedness become more visible than separation and fear. And if you're watching this right now, there's a good chance you've already felt some of these changes in your own life. Maybe you've sensed the growing difference between noise and truth. Maybe you've noticed your intuition guiding you more strongly than before. Maybe you've begun questioning things that once seemed unquestionable. If that's happening to you, it doesn't mean you're escaping the world. It means your perception of it is expanding. The shift toward quantum Earth isn't something that will suddenly arrive one day like a cosmic event. It's already unfolding through millions of small awakenings, happening quietly inside individual minds. Each moment of awareness adds to the collective field. Each person who begins seeing reality more consciously helps stabilize this new frequency. And slowly, almost invisibly, the future version of Earth begins forming beneath the old one, not through force, not through fear, but through awareness. So the real question is not whether quantum Earth exists. The real question is whether your perception is beginning to notice it. Because once you start sensing that deeper layer of reality, it becomes impossible to completely go back to the old way of seeing the world. And that moment might be the real beginning of the shift.